Hello, and welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Neil Magnuson, and this is the show where we explore some of the unfriendly truths in our world, try to find some ways of having hope about that due to some mechanisms for change which we explore on the show here. Once again, I'm broadcasting from the Cannabis Substitution Program, Healing Wave Dispensary here in Vancouver at 157th East Cordova. And we continue to be here, we continue to be operating our store, and we continue to be threatened with eviction from our landlord. We have now got a tentative court date of October 19th, where we will go and face down the landlord's lawyer with respect to them trying to evict us on behalf of the city. It's a bit of a strange case because the city says that they want to support us, and when I talked to Councillor Bly, she was very supportive, and what can we do? And I said, well, what you can do is you can get the licensing department of City Hall to contact our landlord and tell them that you're not going to be moving forward against us. And they were reticent to do that, and they did not do that, have not yet done that. And so the lawyer for the landlord has filed his papers, and our lawyer, John Conroy, is just looking to coordinate dates and have our session in court, where the landlord and his lawyer will announce that they love us, that we're doing great work here, that the city should allow us to continue to do this, and that they don't want us to leave, they want us to be here for years to come. But the city will or will not be there. We'll see. They've got some time, and we're certainly going to do everything we can to prod them into showing up at court and saying, yeah, it's okay. They can stay there in process, and we are in process. We've sent an amazingly detailed and effective submission/application to the federal health minister for an exemption to allow us to continue to do, because what we're doing is contrary to the Cannabis Act, which is nothing but a document designed to protect the interests of Trudeau's cartel and make sure that anybody that tries to grow weed for the marketplace or sell weed in the marketplace is met with huge resistance in the form of criminal prosecutions and fines like that. In fact, one of our long-term donors to the program, one of our suppliers here at the Healing Wave, the BC Bud guys, have been charged with procuring cannabis concentrates. I'm not sure what the actual wording is, but they're the first ones to be charged under the Cannabis Act for manufacturing concentrates. And we'll see how all that shakes down. This is more criminality from our public servants. These Bud guys have been doing extremely compassionate work for years. Like I said, one of the main donors of our project, the Cannabis Substitution Project, and saving people's lives all the way, donating for three plus years to our project there, large amounts, setting up a dab bar out in front and giving people free dabs. They have been doing great work for a number of years, trying to help address the problems caused by the lack of access to cannabinoids in our world. And for that, we're going to use our tax dollars to go after them and try to prosecute or persecute them. And I think that is just completely obscene and outrageous, but that's what's going on. This whole attempt to prohibit cannabis has been one of the darkest segments of time in the world's history, for sure. How it ever got to this point is an amazing tale. You can go back through history and have a look at it. You can read Jack Herrera's book, The Emperor Wears No Clothes, and see the way the laws were brought in, how Congress had the hemp pulled over their eyes, if you will, how they ushered in this law to protect the interests of pharmaceutical companies and fuel industry and a bunch of other places like that. And all at the great expense of not just all those people caught up in that have served prison sentences, that have had their lives ruined, but all of society, with the amount of money that we've had to put out to do all those prosecutions and investigations and all the rest of it, and never an ounce of justification. It has never been a crime to grow or sell or possess cannabis. It never should have been a crime in the first place. It doesn't fit at all with what the definition of a crime is. And it's all just because of legal speak and complications and making things difficult to understand and all these things done through back doors and lobbying and loopholes and all the rest of it. And it's all just a bunch of lies that have been put together to try to protect industry from this amazing plant that, with respect to medical purposes, just what anybody can grow for themselves, should be really easily accessible throughout our environment and our communities. And because it's not, many people suffer. The whole prohibition of all of these plant medicines is nothing but that same farce. There is no crime in having possession of plant matter. That's just not a crime. It can't be a crime. There's no way that could be a crime. If you use that plant matter to hurt somebody and you did that intentionally, well, I guess that could be a crime. But who's out there harming anybody intentionally with plant matter? There are people that end up addicted to opioids through misprescriptions, through doctors, through choices they made growing up and things like that. And those people are in trouble because of that. The whole prohibition of drugs has resulted in a street supply of drugs. That street supply of drugs, because that's just what happens to street supplies of drugs, has become tainted and poisoned. There's always been all kinds of dangerous additives mixed into these powders to try to increase the amount of money people can get, increase the addictiveness. Never actually kill people until maybe now. Maybe now this whole fentanyl crisis has got some designer behind it who really does want to kill the people that end up addicted to opioids. There certainly seems to be zero care or concern for the damage being done by prohibition and the poison drug supply to the poor people that are struggling in the neighborhood that we're in here in the downtown east side of Vancouver, where we're having such problems because of this. Not just people dying, but people having to be resuscitated over and over again. Whenever you technically die from an overdose and you're brought back to life, there's a lot of damage that happens there. There's a lot of brain injuries that happen. There's a lot of life problems because of that. All driven by prohibition. But prohibition doesn't just do that. Prohibition causes great disrespect for police and governments, and that is huge. That is very huge. That puts the police's lives at risk. And that means that nobody really respects government, really respects the law. And it's important that if we had good laws that they be respected, just as it's important because we have bad laws that they be broken, and good people break bad laws on purpose to try to solve those issues. And that's what we've been doing here for a long time. But one of the reasons that the police get no respect is because of the level of corruption involved. Because they should know that their job is to keep the peace, to bring reason into situations, to protect people from actual criminal acts, and they should know that, but they don't seem to. But the other side of it is the corruption that happens within police forces, where the opportunities are just too great. It's hard not to take advantage of. In fact, if you're a police officer and you have some financial difficulties in your life, for whatever reason that might happen, to be faced with those opportunities to solve your issues at no one's expense because you're just raiding and arresting some people that were involved in distributing drugs, and there's large amounts of cash there, and there's large amount of drugs there, and you're in a room with a bunch of cash and drugs, and some of them goes missing. Who's ever going to know? I mean, people that were selling the drugs, they're not going to admit that there was more there than what they're being charged with, and this is going on for a very, very long time. So now in Delhi, we have 4 cops who have all been suspended because they were caught selling 160 kilograms of weed that was seized in a particular raid that was undertaken. So 4 of these officers decided amongst themselves that they would just take some of the stuff home with them, that they knew some people that would be interested in purchasing that, and they could make their lives a little easier, and who's going to be hurt by all of that anyway? Well, they're the ones that are, their reputations are, all of police are harmed. Anytime there's bad action by any police, they're all wearing the uniform, they all wear the same type of reputation for whatever's going on. We've got a Russian narcotics officer was caught growing weed, and that would be not too bad in itself, but the reason he was growing weed is so that he could bring it in and say that he'd seized it off of people to meet his quota, because they have a quota there about how much weed you've got to seize off of people in a particular length of time And that was his solution, was to do that. Maybe not a bad solution, because he's not actually seizing it off of people who might otherwise be using it, for their medical purposes and things like that. But not too bad an idea. Anyway, still the corruption runs deep for sure. And on the other side of it, the whole issue is that nobody's being harmed significantly by cannabis in any way. Nobody's being harmed by using it, by selling it, by growing it. In fact, not only are they not being harmed and harming people, but if they're using it for their own personal, physical and health issues, then they're being helped by it. I think most people that are involved in the cannabis trade are probably benefiting from the health benefits of cannabis, and the health benefits of cannabis are huge. In fact, the Daily Telegraph in the UK says that doctors in there say that cannabis should be given to the elderly with chronic pain because it's much easier on their systems and it really is effective, especially with what we found out here in the use of high-dose edibles. It can be very, very effective for people. With respect to cancer, for example, in the United States, cancer is the second leading cause of death. In 2018, there was 9.6 million deaths attributed to cancer. And yet, cannabis is poised to become the number 2 treatment for brain cancer in the United States. I mean, kids are using it for epilepsy. In fact, that's been going on for a long time. It's given to people with compromised immune systems. We've known forever that it helps people when they're going through cancer treatments. It helps with nausea and things like that. When the United States government decided that they were going to prove that cannabis had no medical utility, it deserved to be a Schedule I controlled narcotic, but they found the opposite of it. It took them a while to admit it. But the endocannabinoid system was discovered because of that. Our CB1 and CB2 receptors are designed specifically to accept the chemistry of the cannabinoids and allow them to do their work. In fact, and it's very complicated. I mean, it's like a key in a lock, but it's not like a finger in a hole. It's like a very, very complicated key that goes into a very, very complicated lock and is able to do the right things to get that lock to open and to get its medicine into each of our cells to do the work that they do. All through our brain chemistry, all through our immune system, all of it has a whole bunch of these CB1 and CB2 receptors that the cannabis plant interacts with. It's 419. The point is cannabis is not harmful, it is not hurting anybody. There never, ever should have been any criminal law used against it or any law used against it. In fact, in a rational and reasonable world, our public servants would recognize that it is a great benefit to people, especially when used properly, especially for many, many health conditions, and they would have made sure that we have good, easy, reasonable, low barrier access to get those cannabinoids for all of us anytime we need them. And it is just such an example of the corruption of our particular world when our public servants are using our own money to harm us with the criminal law to try to prevent us from accessing what is a life-saving and life-benefiting medicine only because it threatens the bottom line of those corporations that have those other patented products that they want to have in the marketplace without competition so that they can make all the money on our ailments and our sickness. And it is absolutely atrocious. It is horrendous. This needs to stop, and we're doing our best to stop it here. Well, that was the 419 warning. That brings us to 420. That brings us to 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca. Joins us every week. How are you doing, Glenn?
Good, sir. I brought us a joint.
You did?
Yeah, some purple people eater.
Purple. I'm a purple.
You're wearing,
that's right shirt on.
You might eat your shirt, man.
So this is Papa Chronics?
Papa Chronics, they're from New Brunswick.
See,
Good friend of mine.
Okay, well.
I want a package, which brought us a dab tool from Dabber there, too. So.
My joint, I like my joint, too. It's a combination of some of the better things that we have here at the Healing Wave for people to have. I like to overlap cannabinoid profiles, and that's what I do is mix that together. But in this case, we're going to try this one.
Yeah, why not? It's from New Brunswick.
Put some fire to it.
Yeah.
It stands the test of fire.
I'm sure it will. They're pretty good people. So,
They're even growing good weed in New Brunswick.
That BC Bud steak, is that brand new or that was from the past?
No, this is brand new.
Brand new?
This is where Darren was arrested.
Yes.
On his property quite a long time ago.
Yes.
Had his wife and children taken away from him. Had his wife deported to the United States just before COVID hit.
Yeah.
They had yet to be reunited as a family.
I think that's really very soon. This is in October, she said.
Well, so he went to the courthouse demanding some things. They dropped all of the charges against him.
Yeah.
But now they've reinstituted the charge. He actually has to turn himself in. There's a warrant out for him as of this morning. And it's to do with manufacturing concentrates. That is very tasty, by the way.
Wow, that is nice, yeah.
They're growing good weed in Manitoba.
Oh, yeah, I know.
New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Even farther east.
Cannabis and smoking around children. How do you feel about it? Because we all drink in front of children.
I think it should be completely normal. Our parents are consuming cannabis, but they don't hide that from their children.
Because we don't want them to think that it's a bad thing. We want them to think that this is something that's good for you, right?
Well, it's just something. It's just a thing that their parents do. And as young kids ask about it or are told that this is for mommy and daddy, well, that's good enough for them.
Yes.
But as they grow up and get a little older, then they become more curious about it. They want to know about it. In our world, we've got kids that are being taught in school that cannabis is bad.
Yes.
And in many cases, they're going back home and saying, "Mommy, but my teacher says, or the dare man says, that you shouldn't be doing that." So at that point, it certainly is a time for parents to properly tell their kids, educate them.
I've been educating Isabel.
You told her not just that it's medicine and helps you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But you've helped her, or you're helping her understand what prohibition is, the laws against it, those kind of things.
She doesn't understand that daddy can jail for it yet, but I'll bring that to her, which is like
She's a little older because it's an age-related thing. When you come up with certain age, it's not chronological.
I think that's just the wrong information that the government used to tell us to do, and we should just be open to it. It's really healthy for you.
And if you're using it recreationally, and if you've got your friends coming over in your little bubble, and consuming cannabis in your backyard during a barbecue and things like that, it's just a normal thing. I mean, there's no problem with people smoking cigarettes apparently. It never really comes up.
But that's what the government
and people drinking beer and drinking alcohol and stuff like that. I mean, that happens at all of these parties, and the people involved, they do it like as if it's just what they do. The kids are running around, they're doing what they do. They're meeting with their friends, they're smoking a joint or whatever it is they're doing.
One of the things that tobacco and alcohol will kill you. Well, it's cannabis,
Exactly.
Exactly, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But these are all teaching points, right?
Yes.
They're all moments where you can help guide your young person into understanding what's going on, and definitely you don't want to be pretending like it's something evil and dangerous that you're doing, because that's going to get all sorts of mixed messages.
Exactly.
And but as soon as your child is old enough, explain to them as best you can what's going on.
I think that's very true. Like best people go drink in front of their kids. At least you're smoking in front of your kids, you're not going to get stupid like when you get drinking, right?
The thing is
slurring and whatever.
The thing is that kids do two different things. Sometimes they rebel against the behaviors of their parents, and sometimes they emulate the behaviors of their parents. And so if their parents are concerned, if they know that alcohol can be a problem, that they don't want to glorify it or make it look too good to their kids. Cannabis, on the other hand, you don't have the fact that it's killing people. You don't have the liver disease and dementia, or the cancer and the other things, but you got the criminal law. So your child could end up. When my son turned 16, he wanted to come and now smoke weed with me. I never hid it from my kids at all. I mean, I just smoked weed around the house. That's what I did. And at 16, he had gone out and some of his friends had tried some, and now he wanted to smoke some with me. My first thought was, oh no, now he's going to have to worry about the cops and the criminal. And,
Isabel will have to deal with that.
Yeah,
well, unless you want to be an illicit grower. There you go.
You know what? Because COVID-19 things slow down. So you only, when you do criminal record search for your designated growers, potentially 90 days. If they held the application more than 90 days, sent it back, it says that the criminal record said check wasn't valid anymore. When they're the ones that received it on June 23rd, they know that it was valid at that time. So they delayed my application again and have Beard Brothers do another criminal record search.
That's
disgusting.
The whole thing is disgusting. I mean, if you want to get Oxycontin, what do you got to do?
Go to your doctor. Express some pain. Yeah, and then you know they can't tell if you pain or not. Get yourself a prescription. Walk next door to the drugstore, and within like 10 minutes, you're walking out with these really, really toxic, dangerous pills. So you know you gotta be able to grow some cannabis for yourself. Have somebody grow it for you. It takes a year of scrutiny. It takes a criminal record check. It takes like all these different things. You can even get it here. It's just all of it is so obvious. Do they really think they're being like they're being sneaky? Do they really think that we don't get it? That they just don't want us to use this because they're in bed with a bunch of pharmaceutical clients? They want to make money. They sold their soul to these people. Well, it's gonna all come crashing down. I really suspect that it'll take much longer. It's just my opinion, right? Read out some facts earlier, there's opinion. This is my opinion. I wish people would understand the difference between the two. I just give my opinion on things when I get the facts. We all have opinions. And you know what they say about that? Everybody's got one. They're like assholes. Some of them stink. That's the fucking
look at that last good joint, eh? There we go.
Yeah, that was really good joint.
Thank you very much, Bob Products.
Yeah, for sure. I've had a bit of a down week.
Yes.
I'm still looking a little better. Well, I was better. And 3 days I was down because the migraine that I took a pill for that fucked up my stomach and into the loop I went. I've been in this loop many times. I've been in this loop. And, I wish I knew a way out of it, but it does happen. I mean, I tried. I think they call it cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, but I think that's definitely misnamed in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just my opinion, not a scientist, don't have all the facts, hard to have all the facts, but it seems like they originally, in the PubMed articles from several years ago when they were first discovering cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome, they thought it was a toxic buildup of CBD. When nobody really heard much about CBD, that's what they said. Maybe that was a preemptive strike on the whole future CBD taking away their pharmaceutical medicines thing. I don't know. But that's what they said. Because of my experience, in all these years since with CBD, seeing people take thousands and thousands of milligrams daily and only benefits, I suspect it's neem oil or pesticide of some sort, fertilizer that has to get flushed out, and so something like that.
I feel like everybody should take in 1,000 milligrams of CBD a day.
Is that right?
Yes.
Well, what happens if you take in more than that? You start
but if you start in the morning and take 1,000 milligrams by lunch, you may need another 200 milligrams top to get to your 1,000 milligrams. As everywhere as works for your body.
Here we go again.
Yes.
My opinion. Not a scientist. Don't have all the facts.
Neither do I.
I think everybody's an individual, different unit, and that might be an average generalization of something.
Really sick
Some people would really have an addiction.
Taking large amounts of
Jerry's here.
it can make you upset. So it's generally best to take your CBD spread out over the day. To prevent that.
All right, so Jerry Martin is here. He's coming right up in the next segment, and he's had lots of experience with CBD people, and for many people that he's had personal experience with, there's issues with how you feel. Your stomach gets upset if you eat too much, and there's a proper progression. And we'll talk to Jerry about that coming right up.
We inform each other, we help each other, we give each other.
Well, the government won't tell us. We can't trust the medical society. We have to determine these things for ourselves, And so a lot of it is anecdotal, a lot of it is personal experience, and then just, spreading the information and seeing what seems to be right amongst us.
we're left on our own here apparently, because the government won't help us, even though we pay them to help us. And the enemy is the pharmaceutical companies, who absolutely won't tell us the truth about the value of cannabis that we can grow for ourselves. It's not in their interests, we fully understand, but that's what we're up against. So this is how we do things. Well, thanks, Glenn.
Yeah, no problem.
I love it. You come in every week.
Your birthday today.
I didn't forget it. It's in the thing over there. I should have put it on. All right. That's just Fred Bell's way of getting a shout out every week for his store in Alberta there. That's all that is.
The Beyond 420
The Beyond 420 store in Alberta. This is just Fred Bell getting a little bit of free promotion there. I'm fine with that. I love Fred. I'm sure he's doing good work.
Man,
so
all right.
very good. All right, Glenn. We'll see you next week. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, Jerry Martin, I guess Jerry, come on in here and have a seat, Jerry. Sometimes I introduce you right when you're here and everything, and sometimes I go these long, boy, all of a sudden your introductions to mine just, every once in a while, it must have been that joint from Papa Chronics in New Brunswick, the purple people eater, ate my brain. So yeah, Jerry Martin is a gentleman who, you had a tough life, didn't you, for a while? You were on the streets, you got yourself all tattied up, if that's any indication. Yeah. And at some point you managed to turn your life around?
I own a tattoo company too.
And you own a tattoo company, so that helped with that. But I mean, you were living on that side of the line there, and you decided to step on the other side of the line, get your life back in order. Yeah. And that down the road ended up to opening up a medical dispensary in Whitewood, Saskatchewan.
Right.
So what year was that? 2013?
2012, and then 2014 I switched on to my own. And for 7 years before that, I didn't do anything. I got sober in like 2007, I think.
Right.
And then I created the tattoo business, the DVDs and all that. My 7th DVD is about to come out.
That was within that 7 years. So for 7 years you did some things.
Yeah, 7 years. Yeah, I put
things.
out 6 DVDs. Created the International School of Body Art, Insane Tattoo Products.
Nice.
A few other companies, a couple of books.
You got busy.
Yeah.
And you were using weed during that time?
Yeah, the whole time. Well, when I first got sober, I stayed at the Calgary Dream Center for men, which was an awesome place. They had a couple programs. One, if you didn't pay, you had to do all their meetings and all that,
which is good. That's a great idea. I like that.
A lot of it, my mom was she actually paid the $400 a month for me, so I didn't have to go through all that. But it gave me a good, safe place to stay, and I abided by the rules, except for one day where I had to join about 3 months into the program. So I had, but then I didn't do it again out of respect for there. But when I got out, when I decided to leave,
if it wasn't for them, you would have done it again.
Yeah, they gave me a great, safe place to stay, be around other guys.
But if they would have been okay with it, you would have continued to puff some weed while you were there.
Oh yeah,
and that wouldn't have hurt you.
No, it would have helped me.
Would have helped you.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these places.
So when I got out, and there I had the same place, and people around were at so I didn't, cannabis wasn't as much needed for that purpose, to keep myself clean. But when I got out, I made sure I smoked cannabis every day after that.
It helped you from relapsing?
Yeah, it keeps the edge off. It keeps you from wanting those other drugs, right? So, plus, it there's lots of creativity, which was good for my line of work and things like that. So motivation.
So you were there, you got out, you were using cannabis, so you were able to access cannabis. Was it that
Oh my God, I don't know about that.
No, it wasn't either.
It was Whitewood, Saskatchewan.
I'm just trying, it's because I don't know the answer here. I'm just trying to figure this out at this point. So were you, during that time, you were accessing it because you were using it.
Well, yeah.
Were you also at that time helping your friends get access once in a while? Or other people?
No, it was kind of hard to get access in. Like I was buying crappy oil and like beer calves and you know what I mean. And
there's a lot of that going on.
Not that I haven't had good oil in beer calves, but this is Whitewood, and people are growing their own back then, and it wasn't so good. And then we, cannabis, it was $80 for a quarter straight up. So if you wanted an ounce, you're paying $320, and it was like that for the entire 7 years. They didn't know what it was called or whatever.
Yeah. I saw some of it. It's basically ditchweed, is what we would call it.
I did that for 7 years. years. So everybody in that province did that for like 7 years. So a lot of them, anyways, they paid straight up like that. It was very expensive. And then when I opened that dispensary, that all changed.
So, and that's what I was trying to get to, was how did you then decide to open a dispensary? Was it because there was such shitty access to weed? You thought, hey, I'll open a dispensary, I'll solve that?
I bought a building in Whitewood, and I opened up I was going to open up a tattoo studio, but the guy I was going into business with, it didn't work out after I bought the building. So I kept that building closed for a year to almost 2 years.
I see.
Until I found a tattoo artist. I'm stubborn.
I see. Yeah.
And then that worked for about 3 months. I had it rocking really well, and then he was in the drugs, and I had to let him go. And then I kept it closed for another year and a half till I found another artist that was good enough, and he lasted 1 day. So I was done with bringing in tattoo artists. If they don't have their own job or own shop by now and they're that good, they come in with issues. Yeah. Right. I mean, I had incentives, I had TBDs out and things like that, right? But yeah, it just didn't work out. So I decided if I can, I'm trying to think of something cool to do. I got these bills to pay. Yeah. And so I decided if I can sell all this tattoo equipment in 3 days, I'll open up a head shop. And I sold it all in 3 days.
I see.
So I opened up a head shop. I had enough to like buy one everything to kind of cover the walls, right? And then after a few months of that, I was approached about the dispensary. Someone approached me and said it was all legal. We could do this and that and that. And then after 2 years of doing that, it was very stressful and found out it wasn't really that legal.
Yeah.
But by then, I had a lot of people from the community with children dying of cancer, other people that really wanted me to help them. So I had my hip replaced that year in 2014. I flew to, that's when Trudeau was getting in, and I flew to the Philippines and I spent a month out there to recover and also to make a decision on what I do. Do I continue this with the new government or do I not? And I decided to do it because I just had too much responsibility to my community.
The people that you were helping. It would be hard to tell them that you can't help them anymore.
Right, when I can. And I knew I was putting myself at risk. But after 4 years of that, you would, think that they would come to a better resolution than what they did.
Yeah, because 4 years later, they, with new legalization going on, Health Canada told you to stop doing what you were doing.
Right.
And here again, now it's 4 years later. It's even,
and then a year went by from that too, right? Right. And they waited till those new laws were made to do the arrest, right? So they could take all my stuff and do those things to me. And set an example is what they're trying to do.
And so that they told you to stop, you didn't. A year later they arrest you, they take your stuff, they shut you down, and still here we are. Now, what year is that now? That's almost 4 years ago.
2008, November 7th, it'll be 4 years.
So that would have been in 2016.
Yeah.
So in 2016, they did all that, and you've still never been in court to actually talk to a judge about whether or not you think you're a criminal or they do or what. It's all been putting off.
Yeah, probably another year or so, I'm thinking. Yeah. I know.
Well, like I say, I've been talking, it's kind of a theme earlier in the show. It's just my opinion, right? There's facts, and if you're talking about what's going to be going on in the future, it is never facts. It is always just opinion.
Speculation.
And my opinion has always been that they'll never let you have your day. They're going to torture you for all these years, and
well, then I get to sue them.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay, well, that'll be good.
If they let it go, I'm definitely suing them.
Yeah, the government's going to be in a little bit of trouble with us, too. And I'm going to get to that now, because what we got going here is the Healing Wave Dispensary that has evolved because of the Cannabis Substitution Program, where we were giving away cannabis for 3.5 years on the streets here in Vancouver with people that would line up for hours twice a week during all kinds of inclement weather, because like I say, 3.5 years, we never missed, we never stopped. We were there in the snow, we were there when the heat wave struck, we were there during the storms, and we were able to get the city government here to pass a motion saying they would support what we're doing along with low barrier access, and that resulted in this store. You don't know it, but I'm gonna go to a phone conversation in a minute with Chris Backer. Chris Backer is in Halifax. I stayed with Chris on my Freedom Tour 1 year. I was sick in his house for a long time there. and came to really know him and Trina, and fantastic people. And they have a serious need going on there like we had here on the downtown east side. And Chris has started the Cannabis Substitution Project. They had to stop for a little while during COVID, but now they're back at it again. And I'm going to bring Chris in to talk a little bit about that little progression in our movement to try to get access to medical cannabis, which is what Jerry was doing in Whitewood and what we've got going on here, and how the Cannabis Substitution Project has been able to facilitate that here to a point where maybe we're going to be able to continue to do this as we negotiate with Health Canada to get an exemption from the Cannabis Act to allow for low barrier access to cannabinoids. So let me see if I can get Chris on the line here. Chris was a burn victim. He had a house fire. He went back in several times to get his family out, his pets out, and got seriously burned. And then he'd been using. Hero. He's absolutely a hero. And he then, had quite the battle with Health Canada about whether or not he could be using cannabis in a topical form for his burns. At one point, he was using the dried flower and rubbing it on his horrible burns, and using the oil that he extracted illegally to put it on the other arm to show Health Canada,
That's funny.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's just insane. Yeah, Chris is an amazing fellow. He's got a real wit. He's got a really good sense of humor. He's kind of like me in that if he gets he's like a dog on a bone too, I mean, he's not going to let go of shit like that.
Yeah.
And so he's been not letting go for a long time. Let's see if we can get him to answer the phone here. Chris Backer.
How you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you doing?
Good to hear from you.
So, how's it going over there with the Cannabis Substitution Program?
Oh, excellent. Yes, how?
I dropped you.
No.
So, what are you doing there, Chris? Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, I just kind of copy what you did what you're doing out there. When I decided to do it, I gave you the call, said, hey, mind if I use your name and your logo and stuff? And you guys retooled it for Halifax and now East Coast. And, we started right away. I mean, got some donations of some flour, and I'd already been making some oil to pass out to some cancer here and there. So I had some oil kicking around. So we just started vegetables and put together what we could, and we stopped at Direction 180, which is a treatment center in Halifax. There for 2 months.
Sorry, I missed that last sentence.
What was that?
I said I missed your last sentence.
I said, well, when we first started, we spent the first 2 weeks working right out of Direction 180, which is the treatment center, the addiction treatment center in Halifax.
Right on.
And that only worked for a little while because, well, the doctors in there writing prescriptions for money, and I'm in the same building going, drugs are bad, here's something to feed.
Right.
Oh, the conflict of interest there, so I understand why they out. Since then, we started last year, but on the street. It'd be nice to have a nice, cozy place like you guys got, but there's nowhere for us to kind of be. And
well, that's just yet.
Rent a place. There's no money for rent, so.
Well, it might come, right? I mean, there could be a place that's out there that'll work for you there. I'm hoping that we can, lead a path that you can follow somehow here too.
That would be fantastic. Like right now, we set up in front of an old abandoned junior high school, just one street down from the main street, so there's very little traffic. We show up there 8:30 Monday mornings. There's probably 60 to 80 people in a lineup waiting for us.
I see.
That's awesome.
People.
Amazing. And so what sort of things are you giving out there?
Well, we've got more joints. We a little bit of cannabis and a paper and a bag, and we call it a roll it your own damn self kit. Then there's a couple of, usually get 5 10 milligram capsules. There's a chocolate cookie, there's a gummy, roads there, and then there's usually well,
And all by donation.
all by donation. That's exactly. It's really funny when we're down there doing the giveaway. People think we're from a distributor. This is the promotion from an LP or something. It just takes a few seconds to realize that we're just there for them.
Right on.
Yeah, blows people's minds when you help them for nothing, eh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
They just can't believe it.
Yeah.
And so how long you been doing it now in total?
Since the middle of December last year,
No, 9 months. The baby's about to be born. And so, so somebody called the cops on you?
Yeah, in general, I mean, there's been a lot of support from the community. Like every once in a while, we do a garbage cleanup. I give everybody a joint for cleaning up the neighborhood and bringing me the bag of garbage. We get rid of that. So the YMCA, which is right close to where I'm at, is there, and then there's the library. And the library is offered, once this COVID garbage is over, to grant me a public forum at the library so I can answer questions.
Wonderful.
I don't see their kids, but they're just down the road from me. I had one person about a month and a half ago that was unhappy with what we were doing in our yard, and approached me this Monday. I woke up to an email morning, so I'm assuming the guy Monday called yesterday, and
We got some technical difficulties going on, Chris. You know, at the end of the phone call when they ask you to rate the call, this one's getting a shitty rating. I mean, you look good as always, but a lot of what you're saying is cutting out there. So maybe it'll stop doing that. But we lost quite a bit of what you were just saying. So
okay.
So now somebody called the cop on you? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah. Well, what happened was a month and a half ago, somebody showed up and complained about what we were doing. They work at a daycare just down the road.
Oh yeah.
And she said her piece, so it wasn't going to be over. And then Monday, on our last giveaway, somebody else showed up and basically told us that we've been warned that we shouldn't be here anymore. They're not against what we're doing, just not there because they're worried about what the kids.
Yes, to save the children.
But I don't even see the kids, so there's no kids around. I mean, I know the daycares are close and the YMCA is right there, but I really don't see the kids. And if they see us, what do they see? They see me passing food.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I don't know what optics they're worried about there, but they felt the need to call the police because I got the email this morning.
I see.
And I've got a meeting coming up with the officer, the constable that I when I put that in the police station. He knows what I'm doing. He supports what I'm doing, and he knows what I'm doing is genuine and good and helping the neighborhood. So I can't imagine. He probably just give me a heads up that.
Well, but you probably understand, like we know here too, that anytime something like that happens, that provides an opportunity to speak to the issue, to further the issue by getting other people educated and all of that. So they've just really provided you with an opportunity to do all of that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just they don't want to listen. It's the same as I don't see the need to stop. So
right. Well, of course you're not going to stop.
Oh God, no.
No.
Wrong. There's no need to stop. I mean.
So you're getting a lot of. And like we did, I'm sure you're getting a lot of feedback from the people that you're helping out in the lineup about how it's helping them.
I have. I mean, because I have a few new people coming and going as part of my volunteer. I've had a steady volunteer now for a little bit, and once people see the same person enough times, they start to feel open enough to talk. And
exactly.
I'm getting more stories about the difference that we're making in people's lives. So I couldn't imagine stopping at this point. We stopped for almost a month there when COVID came down, and we weren't allowed to have it was less than 5 people. Once we were allowed to have 5 people again, we started right back.
Yeah.
With a card. just so I didn't line up, people would pick up to me.
I see. Well, very good, Chris. I'm so thrilled with what you're doing back there. You're an extension of us here, and we feel that very much. Although we're a long ways away, we're of the same heart. And keep doing what you're doing. I'd like you to put together a little video for us, if you could, of your lineup and your daily preparations and those sorts of things, and we'll play it on the show here.
Cool, no, that'd be cool. That's fantastic. Try not to do too many videos, and some of them don't like being on camera. But
No, that's fine. Just the ones that do.
Oh yeah, but no, I mean, I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of something like this and allowing me to just kind of piggyback off you and run with it down here, because it's been an incredible experience that I've been really part of.
Very cool, very wonderful. And I want you to show off your shirt a little bit. You're ahead of us on that respect. You got the shirts going on.
East Coast, baby, East Coast.
Beautiful. Thanks, Chris. And is there anybody can get a hold of you to give donations and stuff like that? How do they get a hold of you?
They can get a hold of me at, I'm going to give you the acronym for it. It's TECCSP, the East Coast Cannabis Substitution Program, at hotmail.com.
Very good.
TECCSP.
Thank you very much. Thanks for everything, Chris. We'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks, Neil. You take care.
Take care, buddy.
Good
Peace.
luck, man.
Awesome. I just stuck that in there because I had arranged with him to call around that time, but we were talking about stuff going on with you, and I want to keep doing that because your case is very, very important here. You've teamed up with another dispensary or two.
Yeah, a couple of them, yeah.
Cool. And what's the basic premise of your case? Have they also been raided and arrested and they're just facing those charges and answering them, or is there more to it than that? Is this a constitutional challenge?
Yeah, no, it's going to be a constitutional challenge, so we had to wait for them to be, all their charges to be moved to high court. So we all have to be in high court to move forward.
Right.
I think we're probably at that stage right now, but now they're going to have to do affidavits for their witnesses.
Right.
Most of mine's done.
So as a challenge, you are challenging some of these restrictions and laws for sure, and most of it's to do with access through a dispensary, right?
Right.
So
all of it, yeah.
All of it. And are you also concerned about those people that had limited access for financial reasons and other reasons, mobility issues?
Yeah, there's all kinds of many reasons. A lot of people can't use computers, a lot of people can't read, they can't write. I mean, look how many people down here don't have home addresses,
right.
You know, or money.
Or money, yeah.
You know, and if they do get money, they can't afford maybe a $15, $25 shipping fee on top of their
$28 gram.
Exactly. Even if they do get a compassionate $5 gram, I don't believe they'll sell just 1 gram, will they?
And the other thing I heard about that
I
was
don't know. I'm sure they have. They've got to have some more than minimum.
And I heard it was $6 that they were.
Good question, though.
They had a lot of backlog. The LPs have a lot of backlog of stock, and that they just might consider letting some of that go to help maybe with these sorts of issues with people who can't afford it. You know, the opioid crisis. And they were willing to let it go at $6 a gram. That's what they said. $6 a gram. That's our most expensive
and what
weed
did
here,
they say
by the
it
way.
was 11 cents to produce or something?
Oh, I don't know. What those facts and what they say, I wouldn't believe anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pennies for sure. It's probably pennies per pound. You know, I mean, what do you get for a bushel of wheat? They don't even sell wheat by the pound. They sell it by the ton.
Yeah.
You know, you get dollars per ton of wheat.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen wheat fields in the prairies, and I've seen hemp fields in the prairies. On one of my tours, I did a little thing there. We went out in the field and we picked some of the wheat. We looked at it. We thought about how much biomass was there, what that biomass was usable for, et cetera, et cetera. And then in the hemp field, while you're looking at 12-foot tall, trees basically, and the biomass involved in that, and how every facet of it is so usable and beneficial.
Well, it cleans the ground as well.
And that too, actually what they have in the prairies, you would know this more than me, but they have problems where they have the same crop a couple, 3 years in a row, and now the soil isn't going to grow anything after that because it's depleted all the nutrients, where cannabis does the opposite. It sends those tap roots way down into the dirt and then spreads them all out, and then when you chop it off, all of that puts back all the minerals and stuff back into the soil. So they actually use cannabis as an alternate crop for their fields, hemp, to regenerate the soil so they can grow more other stuff there. But it's just ludicrous, you know, that growing on scale. I mean, craft cannabis, people like their cannabis, right? I mean, some people are willing to pay extra. Some people want to pay a lot. They do. They want to brag. Yeah, paid $350 for this house. Look at those crystals, right? We got the same crystals here at $6 a gram.
$2,400 a pound the other day.
Yeah, is that right?
That's my price.
Yeah, it's stupid
but
out
it was
there.
really good weed, man. It was worth it.
I know. And we have pretty good weed here too, and but we're not using the same markup. We've got compassionate suppliers. We just refuse. But the whole thing is just driven by corruption and just so, like when they're growing by scale, when they're growing these huge fields and greenhouses, I mean 11 cents a gram seems like an awful lot of money. It really does, because there's a lot of grams, right? There's 450 grams in a flipping pound, and every one of those hemp plants is definitely more than a pound. And so it's just
it's ridiculous. That's for sure.
It's ridiculous, and it's killing people. That's the thing, is it's killing people. So we have to fight for our lives here. With what Chris is doing in Halifax, what we did here, always worried. Every time the cops would pull up, I thought, are they here to stop us now? When's when is Coastal Health going to show up with their stern faces and their notebooks and decide that, you can't be doing this, And here we are, we managed to survive that. 3.5 years of doing what Chris is doing there in Halifax, of handing out care packs, 300 twice a week to long lineups of people. And now the city passes a motion they'll support low barrier access. So here we are with our low barrier access dispensary, just exactly as we told the city we would do in a meeting that we had with Rebecca Bly, with Jody Emery and myself, and Howard DeJong from Van Du, and Jared Applegate from Green Cross. We all met, had a wonderful meeting. She was very supportive of what we were going to do. We were very supportive of what she wanted to see done. And I definitely put it together based on that meeting exactly as she asked that it be. I assembled the top 5 medical dispensaries in Vancouver as advisory board to our Serious Hope Society. The Serious Hope Society board members are our top volunteers with the CSP and the couple of the local community activists that have been so integral to our program. And now we're providing cannabis in all of the forms that are necessary for people, all what they ask for and demonstrate that is needed in a way that's as affordable as we can get for them, and that price is going down. We're going to have $1 a gram weed here coming up.
That's dollar joints.
Oh, we've had dollar joints. Pre-rolled joints for $1. We've had that since the beginning. We have sativa joints for $2 a piece because it's a little more to get those.
So it's a damn good deal.
It's a damn good deal, but when we have $1 a gram weed, maybe we're going to have 50-cent joints, aren't we?
Maybe that's a good deal.
Gotta have
3
that.
for $1.
We're not going to overcharge. We're not going to overcharge anybody. This is the whole idea. I mean, the government can have their stores. The people that want to buy weed, I just mentioned, there's people that want to pay $350 for an ounce. You can pay more than that at a government store. Go at it. Have at it. I mean,
you're not going to get quite the same quality there, though.
Not so far at the government store.
For
$350. Are you kidding me? That's the cheap shit.
Yeah. And you can only get an ounce. You can't buy a pound.
Can't buy more than an ounce at a time. And
you want to save a little more by buying a pound, right?
Well, let's do math.
I don't know why they don't have bulk weed barns already, man. I mean, that's
exactly.
the way to go. You know what I mean? Wholesale
Pull
bulk weed barn. Yeah, man.
Pull it up. Half the root's still intact. Lay it on a table, and there you go.
We should own one. Probably be sold in one day.
Oh man, now. So they got, what have you heard? I've heard $18 a gram weed
Well, I
in
heard
stores.
Bruce Lynn, I think he was doing like a $38, $43 a gram, so don't quote me on that, but it's like way up there, yeah.
Well, let's just say, I gotta go 18. So I'm gonna go back to the 18 times basically 4.
Now, they've specially dipped that in about 30 different chemicals for you.
Of course. And
So
and
it's like
there are ways to get around some of that for the licensed producers. They can simply irradiate it.
Yeah.
So wipe out all of the
Some radiation.
you know, with some radiation.
Yeah.
So what I got is at $18 a gram, we're looking at $8,000
I think
for
for the
a pound.
radiation they more use for molds, don't they?
That's what it's about. They're trying to keep down the biocultures that might be there.
Right.
Because as everybody in the world knows,
God
there has been
forbid there's a-
huge problems with weed having, you know, some sort of little organisms growing on it, because people have been dying left, right, and center from that tainted weed, haven't they? And
Spider
isn't
mites
that why
and,
most of our hospital wards
yeah.
are full?
You
It's
just don't get as much for your weed.
Am I thinking about something else? Is it pesticides, maybe not weed that's doing that? Because no, weed's never hurt anybody. You know, how many billions of doses of weed have been consumed in the last year? Billions. Billions of doses of weed have been consumed in the last year.
Yeah, trillions.
Who's been harmed? Who's been harmed? You know? All by Jerry and me. All by,
1 trillion apiece.
a trillion apiece every day. You know, but nobody's ever harmed. You can't smoke too much. You can't hurt yourself in any significant way. There's no need to be killing those microbes that are on the cannabis plant. But this is all, you know, the reason is, it's simple. The government doesn't want you to smoke weed and feel good and find it to be something that you want.
And they want to keep that value high.
Oh, for nothing, they want to keep it up there. It's so ludicrous, you know, it just drives me nuts. I'm a guy that believes in reason. For a long time, I didn't think there should be extremists.
I'm an extremist.
Me too. But, you know, for a long time, I thought, no, everybody should just be right at the right space. I mean, you shouldn't be extreme about something over here or extreme about something over there. And there was extremists on both sides of every issue, you know? And they all believe 100% that they're right. And maybe they are. Who knows? Because I know, you know what?
Probably both a little, right?
You never, there's so much to know about things, who really knows? But what I learned is that we need those people. We need to listen to the extremists on not the right and the left, because that's just a ridiculous way to categorize things, but on all sides of issues. We need to listen to the extremists, listen to what they say, listen to what they believe so passionately. And they probably are wrong, but there's probably some truth in what they're saying. There's probably some.
I think everybody's right from their own point of view.
They are. You know, and so let's try to find middle ground by allowing all voices to be heard from all spectrums. That's what I think now. You know, as I get older, maybe as I get another 50 years older, I'll be even smarter.
Oh, geez, yeah, my birthday is next week.
Is it?
Yeah.
What day?
The 3rd, next Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah.
This coming Saturday?
No, I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess so. It's like 4 days.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday on Saturday to Jerry. Happy birthday to you. We just love breaking out in song any chance we can here at the Healing Wave. I don't know why, when you start feeling good smoking weed, you just want to sing. And we do that. We even got a door.
I did a microdose.
We got Mackenzie Backfield is our door person, and she brings her little ukulele and she serenades the neighborhood.
Cool.
Everybody that comes here and has a special number in our membership book, they get. I sing a happy membership. Happy membership's easy. Happy membership to you. So it's very similar to the other song I sang. I only know one song. Well, I know of Cannabis. I'm going to sing that once in a while too coming up.
Yeah, that's a good
anyway.
song.
So you're my guest. You didn't know that, did you?
No.
Because I did have another guest, but she didn't show up. So I'm not sure what happened to that.
Should have brought in
But I have enough people coming that, you know, we will make every show work, and that's for sure.
Oh, look at that.
Let me get you some weed from
All right.
Are we out of weed now? We're not smoking weed? I got weed.
There you
I
go.
always got weed.
There's a lighter in there.
I got that too. See, I got the lighter.
Oh, you got one of those too. My Remo one broke.
When, you know, you be a
Yeah.
pot person long enough, you always have weed, you always have a lighter. So, you got lots of things going on still. I mean, like you said, you did tattoo parlor, other things. You're obviously a salesman.
Yeah, I got a new DVD. I'm finally about done. I just burnt the master disc.
I see.
So, yeah.
So what's this one
I'm
about?
just almost done the cover.
Is this on Microdelics?
No, learn how to blow glass art.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
so I'm working with Tim from Kind there.
Right
and,
on.
Ms. Me. And,
I miss Tim. Where are you, Tim? I love you, buddy.
Ms. Medelic. Yeah, he's doing good. He's still doing good. Yeah, he's doing awesome.
Nice. Well, that's good
yeah,
to hear.
so we filmed that over about a year, and then just trying to find the time to finish it up and get it edited.
Do you blow glass yourself?
No.
Do you want to?
No.
No?
Well, it's cool,
It is cool.
but I'm actually pissed.
Me
Tim
too.
wants me to do it too. He's like, you
Me
know,
too.
plus, I don't think I have the right temperament for all on class.
But what you
But I'm working on that.
But what you
I'm
do,
doing
what
better.
you do have is amazing creativity.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
are
for
quite
sure.
the graphic artist.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's for
give
sure.
you the need for a logo, and 24 hours later, you got 3 different, like, holy shit, man. Yeah.
It's very cool. It's just, it's very, like, you're working with super hot degrees.
I know.
The arthritis and that. Just,
I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it for those exact reasons.
Sorry? Oh, right on. Thank you.
These are our new pre-rolled sativa joints. These are the jumbos, and these ones are $2.50 here, because we just have to. You know, you got to charge what you got to charge. The whole idea of this place was to have a viable business, because we had to be able to sustain this. And, you know, the main number one impetus is we have to be able to keep helping the people that we're helping. We're helping 250 people here with the Cannabis Substitution Program. And what that means is that now they don't have to stand in a lineup for hours to wait for a care pack of our choosing. They come and choose for themselves. Any day, 6 days a week, 8 hours a day. They come in here, they choose from a tray full of all kinds of different edibles. We got Mary baking stuff, and we got Damien making stuff, and we got all these other people helping us with this. And so they choose 420 milligrams every 4 days. And for that, all we want to do is have them answer a few questions every time. We just want to know the same things every time. How is this working? Is it working good? Is it doing what you expect? What is the dose that you take that works the best? And how long before you need another dose like that? And are there any problems or benefits associated?
That's
Those
good to
are our
ask.
questions.
It's always good to ask if there's problems.
Yeah, we want to know. You know, is this helping you? Is
Well, it's good
in some ways?
efficacy, right?
It's part of what the government needs to know. It's part of what we need to know here in how to best help people.
Oh yeah, and plus if they don't tell you the problem, you can't fix it. So maybe they're taking a little too much, or taking it at the wrong time of day.
That's right. And it also gives us an opportunity to, when they respond, to maybe guide them a little bit, or maybe put in some other information, or ask them some other questions. We are really hands-on here. We may have short lineups sometimes out the door, and I'm fine with that. We put up a tent now. We're good. But we do allow each person to take the time that they need to have that human interaction and get all the right information about stuff. I'm very proud of how Andrew and Jen and George handle the Cannabis Substitution Program here. That is one of the biggest things that you need in something like that, is educated, compassionate people that care about the people that they're dealing with.
Number one thing for sure.
Compassion is the bottom line, number one thing. That's what this place has to be about.
The person behind that, or on the other side of that counter, like for real, then it's never going to work.
It's never going to work. And they know right away too. You know, they deal with it all the time. There's a lot of stigma going on for drug users and people that are struggling with poverty and other things. So they know right away. And what they find right away here is that we do care about them. We understand that it's nobody's business how you got to be where you are. All kinds of things happen to people, all kinds of things result. And that all we care about is, if you want help, we want to help you. You know, we're here. Come on in. We'll tell you about it. We'll explain, how it works. Right now, we have to put people on a waiting list again. We expanded the list from 200 to 250, but that's 100,000 milligrams going out the door every 4 days. And Mary's having trouble keeping up with the baking, and we're, we need a better facility for cooking in, and make it more of a full-time facility. We need more bakers. We need more funding. We need more everything, because the need is great. 250 people, 150 on a waiting list. That's 400 people still scratching the surface out the door here.
Yeah, you should take a tour of all that one day.
Yeah, I was thinking about that one of these shows we're going to do a little tour of the
They
neighborhood.
don't see a little bit. They see the lineup. They don't see the real. And I know a lot of people have been to Vancouver and they've seen it, but a lot of people out there that haven't seen that.
I know. It's
and
hard.
Now they got
it's
it
hard
going
to
on
see.
in their own cities, but
it's not only hard to. Well, it's hard to see, and maybe that's why. But a lot of people don't want to see it.
yeah,
You know? They don't take the effort to see it. In fact, they take efforts to not see it. They don't want to see it.
So we take the efforts to make them see it.
It's important,
Yeah.
It's important to understand because there, but for the grace of nature, go any one of us, right? Because whatever it is that this person has been through to bring them to where they are, any one of us could have gone through that same thing.
We're all one big energy as far as I'm concerned. Right?
That's
so when
right.
you're
That
ignoring-
is us.
You're just
We are
ignoring
them.
a piece of yourself by doing that. Right?
That's right, exactly. So, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing here. And so, how do the people get your DVD on glassblowing?
I imagine we'll probably have it on the Kind Selections website, kindselections.ca. Tim sells glass and stuff on there, by the way. Yeah, it's just glass.
Glenn, speaking of glass, could you go to the back table and get me my mustache toker, please?
Yeah, and then we'll put it on, Amazon, eBay, those types of places, and then we'll.
So people just go get themselves a tank, buy some raw glass, set it up in their garage or whatever. Make sure you got the proper venting.
Yeah, we got a tools videos that'll explain all that, basic tools on how to do that and do it safely. Just show you a few ways on how to save some money too.
Cool, and do it safely is very important, I would imagine.
For sure, yeah. We go over that very well.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool, I love that idea.
Yeah, Tim's got a really nice setup in his place. I think a lot of the glass blowers, they work out of their own place.
So are you the guy? No, you're not the guy because you would obviously have some glass blower doing the demonstrations because it's a video, so there's going to be video on there. You're filming it, and was Tim one of the blowers and you guys?
Yeah, so Tim's the main blower.
Right on.
Then we brought in Mizmi.
Right.
Miles Rasmussen.
I see.
Yeah, he's an awesome glass artist. You'll see a couple other go through there. We're hoping to, once this DVD's done, then we'll expand that to a few other artists.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe a few other categories of things to do with cannabis as well.
Yeah, Mr. Delicacy, he's awesome.
So if you want to make one of these yourself, these are really cool. This is from Gibson's Glass. I don't know, maybe you're not allowed to make it. I'm sure you can make something like that yourself.
I think I designed where I designed those guys' logo.
Let's see. Yeah, Gibby makes these and has these.
What are them?
We don't have any more glass gatherings. I don't know if there's going to be a revival of the glass gatherings or not. We'll have to wait and see.
It wasn't Gibson's.
But the glass gatherings were awesome. You went to some of those?
No, I never made it up. But now I got a Tahoe. Now I can make it up.
Let's put on our own. You got the video. Let's have a glass gathering.
He's working for somebody now, I think. So
yeah, I don't think he wants to do it anymore. That's what he said.
That's too bad. I hear a lot of people had a lot of fun up there.
Yeah, he offered me. Sometimes I had too much fun up there.
He offered me the back of the bus, like, what's his name? Myrna. He offered me
Matt Myrna.
spot. I should have went, but I was going through all my issues back then, and I just wasn't in the right space and wasn't accepting the help and the love. And
everybody's got to do what they got to do.
Yeah, well, got to go through it, I guess.
You might have been one of those guys that did too many mushrooms and went.
I didn't do enough mushrooms was the problem.
But
seriously,
you could have been screaming naked through the mountains there, on your mushroom LSD trip or whatever, and come down the other side and be better off. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be me.
Because you're involved in that too. You've got the microdelics going on, and that's about psilocybe, and it's about that's yours, I think, maybe. No, it's still mine. Still mine. I have a backup.
Yeah.
I got this one. I got that one. You might even have another one in there. Excuse me. So you've been how long now involved in this microdelics.ca thing?
I put it on sorry.
Go ahead.
Joke in here.
It's not a COVID cough.
No, I put it online October 10th last year. So it'll be about a year.
Yeah, we're coming right up.
1 year,
A couple of weeks, I see. And so how has that evolved? Like, there's a study that's going on with that?
No. So microdelics is totally separate from that other thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, microdelics.
I'm glad I asked.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So microdelics is my own company. The new company that we're working on build is MindTech Therapeutics.
MindTech Therapeutics.
Yeah.
Does that have a website?
Not yet that I can share. It will be mindtech.ca. It is up there, but you won't see much of anything.
And is that about delivering those products to people, or is that about doing a study on them and just?
It's a whole bunch of things. It won't have anything to do with microdelics products. We're going to try, and the end goal is we're going to take the government to court and try and legalize LSD in South.
So that is.
We're going to argue that in court. That it's just we're just working on the actual framework of how we're going to go about that while building a company at the same time.
I see.
So we've got doctors.
And there again, that company, would that be about gaining access?
Yeah, so that's our main focus. We are going to go for just the micro. So yeah, so some of the things I can talk about, some of my camp. In the end, though, is we're going to try and legalize these drugs for everybody in Canada.
I would like to see it made illegal for any public servant to ever think that they again have the opportunity to tell a human being which plants or cactus or whatever it is in nature that you would like to access for yourself, whether it be to try to have some psychedelic trip or whether it be to try to deal with deep depression and pain, whatever it is. I'd like to see it made illegal for public servants to get into that realm at all. But that is outside their purview, in my opinion. They've done nothing ever but mess people's lives up whenever they get into your life and tell you can't do this and you have to do that and anything like that. They never have our best interests in mind. They cannot be trusted. They're serving other masters, and I hope that your court case can perhaps result in some sort of a ruling from our public courts that these public servants have no business in this business of what human beings want to use for themselves, you know. They can regulate if there's problems arising, if people are being harmed. Absolutely, public servants come in, put in reasonable regulations that make sense, that are, you know, based on a balance between human rights and regulating and taking away those rights, you know, being the least intrusive possible on human beings' rights. But we need to revisit these government structures that are in place right now that have allowed them to become so corrupt and do so much damage. The damage done by the attempt to prohibit cannabis and psilocybin and LSD and opioids and the other things that they have prohibited have done far too much harm already for us to just sit back and allow this to continue. It's way past the point where we need to stop and suspend all of that kind of stuff and have proper inquiries using evidence-based decision-making about what's right and wrong with respect to how to regulate these things. And prohibition is off the table, because to prohibit never solves any issue. It guarantees an increase in the demand for whatever it is that's prohibited. Our young people, the rebellious people, the people that, you know, yeah, all that does is keep the jails full, which keeps the crime going and keeps all of this cycle of violence and societal ills going on. So I really want us as people to get serious about this, that this has gone too fucking far here. We have to fight our government to be able to provide a life-saving, you know, non-lethal medicine to people that are dying on the streets. It's an epidemic. We have a national health emergency, an epidemic of people dying from a tainted drug supply, and one of the big answers is let's have a safe supply of really good cannabinoids in the forms that will work for people, and especially the high-dose edibles to help people go through withdrawal and to offset the use of those other things. This we have to fight for? We have to fight for this? Like,
yeah, all drugs should be safe, you know?
Absolutely. You know, there's no good and bad drugs in the world.
There's people trying to
certainly not the plants.
And, you know, you wouldn't need to use analogs and create all this, you know, stuff that's harmful if these things aren't.
Nature has provided, right? If you want to get wrecked out of your tree, then there's high-dose concentrates, high-dose edibles. If that's what you're going for, you can get that. If you're needing to deal with your medical issues, if you've got serious pain, chronic pain, depression, those kind of things, high-dose edibles, high-dose concentrates, you know, same thing, right? Like, it's just, This is what people do. People want to get high or people want to get better. It's like just everybody's running around trying to either feel great or just not hurt so much. You know?
It's the forcing somebody to choose their product or something that they
or you can't have this. Did it work for God? Did it work for God when he did his very, very best with those 2 brand new humans that he created there, put them in the garden that had absolutely everything. Everything you could ever want was there, including cannabis, you know. And God, but you know, he's still got to be the guy in charge because he's God. You can't just do anything.
Some pretty good cannabis, and they got the munchies.
Yeah, and then there would have been beautiful fruits and vegetables and all these things.
Yeah.
And, oh
and their
man,
mind got creative.
And the animals all loved you, and the snakes had feet, and they could talk. You know, I mean, it was just this wonderful, wonderful place. He figured, I can still be in charge of something, but I'm going to let them have everything else. They can have everything else, but you can't have just this one plant. Don't even worry about it. It's off in the end of the garden there. Don't even think about it. You got all this other stuff. You get just one plant. I want one plant that you can't have. It's the plant of the knowledge of good and evil. That's my realm there. I don't want you all into that. So just one plant, okay, people? No. Didn't work for God. Didn't work when there was only one thing you couldn't have. Didn't work when you could have everything else and you weren't poor or suffering or in pain or nothing. It doesn't work. You can't prohibit. As soon as you try to prohibit something, the people are going to think about that thing. That's all they're going to think about. They're going to be, well, why can't I have that? I think I should be able to have that. A little bit of knowledge of good and evil. That can't be bad. Oh my God. You know, it doesn't work. It's not the realm of God. It's not the realm of politicians in government. Stop it already. Like, we don't have you, we're not paying you to tell me I can't go and pick a leaf off a plant and chew on it if I want. I'm hiring you, I'm paying you government people to tell me that if that plant that I'm going to pull a leaf off of is going to actually harm me, I wouldn't mind knowing about it. So if there's a lot of these in the environment, if people have been chewing leaves and dropping dead, government role is to tell us about it. Government role is to warn us about it. Government role is never to say you can't have the plant ever. Right? It just never is. This show should be about prohibition. When we were trying to decide what are we going to talk about, you know, we could talk for a year's worth of episodes about just prohibition and how wrong it is and what the result is. The result is people dying. You know, the result is people sitting behind dumpsters, sticking needles in their arms to try to deal with pain when they should be able to just munch on a little cookie that was prescribed to them or advised to them by the local shaman, the local guy, the healthcare expert that knows these things. All you need is a little chocolate bar. All you need is a little fiber bar.
Fucking healthcare workers down here instead of a team of cops helping these people.
The cops could be there to protect people from robbery. That's all good. But when the cops...
There's a lot of them down here, by the way. See a lot of volunteers walking around with kids at night. Sandwiches,
Yeah, you see little groups of people gathered around all through the area of different churches, different community groups, different societies that, you know, they've gotten together and said, how can we help? We have a national health care emergency. Our sons and daughters are dying on the streets. How can, or in their rooms by themselves as well. How can we help? And they come up with ways to help. Much of it is funded by government, because they get together and they say, hey, we can help, and if government likes the idea, especially if your idea is pharmaceutical based, then the government will help you do it.
And you get funding from Dharma.
You get funding and lots of stuff. You know, you have a little more trouble if it's just a plant that anybody could be able to grow. Like, we have lots of growers growing these plants and giving it to us so we can give it to other people.
I see a lot of people just pulling over their vans too. A lot of, you know, the Asians and a lot of the East Indians.
There's individuals. I had Michael the Cookie Monster was my guest the other day, and he told me that he read it in the Metro that these cookies could help get people off of opioids and help with the opioid crisis. And he was a baker already, and so he just baked up a whole bunch of cookies, and he came down here with them in his backpack and just started handing them to people.
That's awesome.
So he was one of those people, you know. And then he found us. He was told, hey, there's a group up there, and there's a group over there, and they're giving away cannabis cookies and stuff to people. So he found us, and then now he just bakes at home, and then I either go and pick them up or he brings them down and gives them to us. And That's been going on for over 3 years. He was here because it was the 3rd year anniversary since, you know, he showed up at Vandu one day and said, hey, can I just provide you guys with a bag of cookies every time? And hell yeah, he could. He was a teacher. He was a teacher in the education system, you know, just a warm-hearted, compassionate human being that decided that the law be fucking damned if it's going to mean that he can't help save people's lives. And so he legally started purchasing cannabinoids to bake into cookies to hand out for free to people. Like, you know, this is what people do. Like, these fucking governments to come along and tell you can't do this and you can't do that. You know? Yeah, of course he could have been arrested for trafficking. Of course they could have come breaking into his apartment because there he is baking with cannabis and probably his neighbors could smell it, you know, and all of that. I mean, it's just gotten so far beyond normal and reasonable
you got to
anymore.
respect the risk other people take to help.
You do. And so that's what we've been doing here because, you know, we obviously doing the same risk. All these volunteers that showed up on that 4th Saturday after 3 in a row, and the 4th one I show up at Vandu at noon on a Saturday, just that was the rhythm I had gotten into of picking up donations from Weeds and other cannabis dispensary friends of mine, and then showing up on Saturday and giving them out on a table. And so I did that like 4 times in a row, and that 4th time, there was a long lineup of people that were waiting for me, and a handful of people that met me and said, you know, can we help you do what you're doing? We love what you're doing. And that became this, and that became every Saturday for a full year. And so, but we knew we were risking, right? And I made sure everybody understood. The cops, like my volunteers, I don't care about the people I'm giving it to, although they understand the risks of having drugs on them as well, that, you know, getting them stolen by the cops or stolen by somebody else and all the rest of it that goes on down here. But as far as my volunteers knew, I had to make clear to them that what we're doing is illegal. I talked about it just about every time I showed up at Vandu. Here we go again, folks, we're going to break the law. We're going to, you know, do what is against the law. The cops could show up. Every time we'd see a cop like anywhere close, I'd think, I know they were thinking similar things. Is this the day?
Break the law every Tuesday,
you know? There you go. Exactly. So the risk is there for all of this, and yet still we continue to do it. So now we've got it where we've taken this risk for 3.5 years. We got UBC Professor M.J. Malloy to study our group and study the effects of what we were doing, along with other things that he was studying along with that. He's the cannabis professor at UBC. And you know, his studies, he's released over 50 papers, I guess that's a couple months ago, so probably more than that by now, showing the efficacy of cannabinoids, especially in the form of high-dose edibles, to help people get off of and supplant the use of opioids and other street drugs. So that happened. The city passes a motion saying they support what we're doing. We meet with the city and have a great meeting and say, okay, yeah, we're going to keep doing it. Now we can get a storefront. Now we can do low barrier access. I alluded to that a little earlier, that, you know, we have 250 people on the Cannabis Substitution Program side that get the 420 milligrams every 4 days for free. But on the other side, our Healing Wave Dispensary, because the model that needed to work for me, trying to decide how can we do this in a way that's going to be sustainable, that we can pay rent, that we can attract the right donations, that we can do all the things and help people the right way, that this was the way to have a collaboration between a business and the society. The society is set up to have collaborations with all sorts of businesses. The idea of the society is to somehow produce and distribute therapeutic cannabinoids to people for all kinds of good reasons. It is absolutely the #1 harm reduction tool to have in your toolcase down here in a place like the downtown east side, where poverty and addiction and depression and mental illness and all of these things are so prevalent here, that to use therapeutic cannabinoids in dealing with that, that is the idea. That's the purpose of the Serious Hope Society. And in doing so, our society, in our regulations, in our rules, in our things, is to have collaborations with other groups, other like-minded groups that will help to facilitate that need. And so this was the obvious one, was to have the collaboration with a dispensary that could dispense cannabis. So here's the other thing, is 250 members there getting it for free. We're almost at 1,500 members now that have come in and signed up, because everybody needs to be a member, but membership is so easy because it has to be, because it's about low barrier, right? So 1,500 people are now accessing through the dispensary side. And why that's important is because There's a large number of people that are using these opioids and dying in all demographics of our communities that don't want anybody to know that they've got that problem going on. They can't admit it to their friends and families. They don't want their co-workers to know. But if there's an option, if there's easy access to high-dose cannabis edibles, and they're aware that that can get them through the withdrawals to get off, and that can supplant and replace the use of it in a much better way afterwards, that they will access that. And they need a place where they can come and not be identified as somebody who's an addict and not be identified as somebody struggling with addiction. The dispensary side here, we sell to people that are members. There's no screening of those members. There's no need for them to tell us any of their issues as to why they're purchasing here. Some are purchasing here just to support us because this is a volume-based business because of low overhead, where we need to get a volume in to be able to do what we're doing. But many of those people are here with that hidden addiction, and they just want a place they can walk into easy, get something that they need, walk out and deal with their problems. And that's why it's important.
Listen to some of them out there. I just want, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I need that too.
It's like read my mind. Yeah.
Oh boy. I was not well all week, basically. Struggle with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story. And I had to pull it together to do the show today, as I always do. Some people who know me, they know that I have these health issues. They must wonder, well, 4 o'clock on Tuesdays, you seem just fine for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just, you got to do what you got to do, and you get her done. And then after the bright lights go out, it's like,
yeah, I feel it.
So a lot of stress going on here. A lot of stress because I am concerned about the people that we're helping and my staff and volunteers that we're not going to be able to keep doing this without having to really fight for it. We think we're going to have to close our shop on whatever court date we get coming up in October, because I want all my volunteers and staff there, and we'll close the doors while we're at court. If it is court, I'm not even sure if that's going to be the case. Maybe it's going to be a Zoom meeting between lawyers or something. These days you don't even know. But
I don't know if we'll allow a staff meeting there.
Well, we would do it properly, distanced, right? We would wear masks where appropriate, and all that kind of. If you can't properly social distance, to wear masks. Not so much in BC, not in our communities. The numbers are up, but the testing is way up. The ability to identify particular outbreak, they call them outbreaks, is even just 2 or 3 people.
Sure.
I'm not sure I even call that an outbreak, but there's been no significant outbreaks of any sort to be worried about within most BC communities, other than some of the care homes and a couple other places. But still, it doesn't matter if you tell human beings that they have to social distance, or if you tell them that they shouldn't. If people want to social distance, they'll social distance. I even hate that term. If they want to stand a little ways apart from each other, then I do that anyway, because lots of people here don't have a bathtub.
I have this really bad habit. When they go to the counter, they got those glass things.
You want to look around it, eh?
I stand on the.
You look at them.
So you can talk.
I do too. I can't stand having this plant. I don't know. It's not on purpose either.
Weird.
It's very weird. You want to get your face down in the hole almost. It's like,
nothing doing in my way, trying to talk to you.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, all those neurons, you're not getting that. It's blocking all that stuff too.
It is.
All the energy's gone out of the conversation.
And then when there's a mask involved, all the facial expressions are lost. I'm starting to be able to better pick up when somebody brightens their eyes a little bit behind the mask. But really, it's just a faceless person almost. Usually they're hitting on me, but usually I can start to tell a smile. I think people are trying to smile a little more with their eyes, because that's all they got to show anyway. And I'm starting to pick up on it a little more than I was before. Okay, that's a smiley eye going on there. This is so unnatural. It is so not what is.
I look for this to lift up.
Yeah, exactly. You look for that, I look for the brightness and that,
When they smile, your cheeks go up, so you can actually see that through a mask somewhat.
Yeah, oh man, but I hate the whole thing. I wish it wasn't happening. I recognize that,
I'll be honest with you, other than keeping clean, which I do anyways,
You're living normal.
I just live normal.
I live normal too.
And I have through the whole thing.
I do too.
Yeah.
We got masks
Pretty
here.
much. Like, I try and respect the rules for other people.
I don't want to be identified as a rebel against them because
like,
I think
I
that's...
don't do the mask, but like it's the social distance. I do respect other people if they, you know.
Yeah, you can tell some people want to stand a little
there
bit.
was an older woman at Tim Hortons the other day, and they got the 2 entrances.
Give me another one, too.
And I went. And normally I don't go through the wrong entrance, but I did that day because I could see the lineup of people. That, by the way, goes through all the tables. Right, so everybody's jammed up against each other.
Oh, the lineups make no sense anyway.
So she says it's very important. I said, well, no, it's not.
Not here
but
now.
I said I really appreciate your opinion,
Yeah.
and I left it at that.
Yeah.
Right, with the firm look, like,
oh man, you
let's
can't
not carry on this conversation. Yeah, I can
you
respect
can't-
that, and I apologize, but.
You can't be verbally
But
anti-mask,
it was
you know.
the best because when she had to turn around and leave, there was all these people she had to walk through to get to the exit, and she didn't do it. She went
the other way. You went the wrong way. Because those stupid exits make no sense. Like you say, you gotta
it just jams everybody up, and everybody.
reducing hours, reducing bank branches. Getting people to gather closer together is all that's doing.
A
You
lot
know.
of money that banks.
Yeah, I'm sure. Oh man,
yeah.
I'm sure lots of them are not going to want to go back to having full-time employees, and so many of them.
Yeah.
People are being forced to work from home in a lot of cases,
Yeah.
and I've seen a number of issues to do with that as well, which I don't know what they are, but I'm sure that we could think about them if we tried.
Yeah, a lot of
But yeah,
people.
we have masks here at
Yeah.
the Healing Wave. We sell masks because because you can make money selling masks.
Now there's an honest.
That's the only reason. Well, and these are cool
I
ones.
love these guys out here. You don't see them too often, but I think the first one I ever seen was in Toronto with the young guy that said, "I need money for drugs" on his side. Now I'll give him some money.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thank you. Thank you for being honest.
The one I liked was blah 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 money. It's just signs of blah blah money. There's a story here. If you want it, I'll tell you. Too. Otherwise, just watch the money.
Yeah.
Bottom line. When it was really smoky here for a while. We had forest fire smoke coming up from Washington and all around us here, and Vancouver's air quality for a while was worst in the world.
Really? That's why I couldn't breathe. It was like
Worst
that.
in the world. We were second for a while to Portland, and then we overtook Portland. But so I was having a hard time breathing. I really was, and hard at night. I was doing a lot of coughing at night from the smoke. So we have these masks. So I took a mask. Mine said Healing Wave Dispensary. I bought these on it, and
I was gonna make some too.
I'm wearing it outside, and it really helped. I really felt like, I was breathing in less of the pollutants that were there. I felt like the air was cleaner. But while I was standing there with the mask on, my first thought was, oh man, I must look so weird. And then I look around and realize, well, I don't look weird at all. I look like just about everybody else. But anyway, that's a whole other story. So
I always had a thing for nurses, so it works for me.
yeah, maybe that's why, because I have found a slight attraction to some women in masks.
Healthcare workers.
And you just nailed it for me. That's exactly what it is. I've always liked nurses in their attitudes.
Medical field and
like guys in uniform.
I don't mind the mask.
There you go. Women like the guys in uniform. Guys like the nurses. That's what it is. Because I wondered what that was. I thought that's really weird. Because I don't like the idea of wearing masks. I don't like the idea you should have to.
Well, that's why you got a filter before.
That's what it is. Oh my God. Life is funny, I'll tell you. Yeah, you
There's already a couple other businesses we won't talk about.
All right. Is there anything else you do want to talk about? Because if not, I got one.
Sure, you go ahead.
Well, do you watch any astrophysicist stuff, like Anton Petrov or any of the guys on YouTube that are talking about the latest discoveries by NASA or this and that, the Fermi labs and the quarks and things?
The new moon, the little moon that's coming, the mini moon.
Is there a new mini moon?
Yeah, did you hear about that?
And it'll be on tonight's Anton Petrov, I'm
In
sure.
1966, they sent a satellite up but didn't make it. They're thinking that the thing is coming back.
Oh, because it takes a while.
Yeah,
Here's what.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quantum science and psychedelics.
There you
What
go.
I'm looking
There,
for.
that's what
my
I'm
latest
talking
book.
about.
That's my latest book. Yeah.
You know, there's what do they call it? It's oh man, that's terrible when you can't remember the name of something.
Yeah.
There's a paradox. I want to say Fermi paradox, but it's not. It's Fermi Labs. This is paradox of why haven't we discovered some other radio signals or other evidence that there's any type of intelligent life out there in the universe?
Well, clearly there is.
Well, clearly you would think there has to be. You know, when they talk trillions of different solar systems, if it can happen here, it must have happened elsewhere.
Yeah. You'd have to have one large ego to.
But it seems like it's pretty rare. It really does, that the conditions are very abnormal here, that there's a number of things that have to be in place. Life is easy. Life starts, automatically almost everywhere. You got a thermal radiation source and certain...
I don't know about other humans, but there's definitely other life.
Oh, life. Life is everywhere. They decided that. Life is everywhere.
Yeah.
But life, we were 4.5 billion years.
Yeah.
We were 4.5 billion years of life on this planet without any radio signals coming out. It's only in the last 100 years where we've had radio signals and we've been sending out there into the, because they travel, they're massless, they travel at the speed of light.
That was new technology back then too. Now we have much better technology.
Well, sure, we've been putting out,
which apparently is a lot from aliens.
we have been putting out all around this planet, we have been sending out the signals of our audio and television broadcasts at the speed of light for 60, 80 years, something like that.
Maybe it has something to do with the magnetic field.
You need a chair, Glenn. Find a chair.
Sure.
Find a chair, because he wants to talk to me about this
You
stuff.
think about the magnetic field of the Earth?
Oh, a lot is to do with our magnetic
Yeah,
field.
but I mean, maybe that's why we're receiving so many signals.
Oh, I see.
Because of that field.
Well, they haven't said that to me.
No, but it could be. We know that it does do that,
I
right?
don't know, Glenn. We get outside of,
I
those
think now with the internet and with YouTube and with all these outlets, that more things are more commonly seen now because they're not controlled anymore. We had very limited what we saw on our black and white TV unless we heard from somebody or saw it ourselves.
Well, right.
Sick in the town.
Well, and that's what I'm talking about. Anton Petrov, he's right in touch with his other astrophysicists and in his communication with NASA and the other global, he's not even American. But, what they find, because there's always new things. We're launching satellites every day or two. That's been going on for a long time. They've got a lot of really cool detecting equipment out there now. They're really watching, and we got.
Just saw black hole, another black hole.
Yeah.
That was on the news. Yeah, so black hole,
That
another
looks like
black
they're all
hole.
black.
Well, it's bigger black now, but yeah, it actually. Have never ever seen this before?
The common theme amongst the Quarks guy from Fermi Labs and Anton is they are surprised on a daily basis because none of this really fits with the models that we have and the theories that we have. And all of it's just theories from the quantum level to the macro. And
it's
they
trippy
don't know.
shit, eh?
Very, very trippy shit. Trips me the hell out.
Energy is.
Well, for me, what got me to want to talk about it a little bit was just because we were talking about life. That here we are, human beings in societies having evolved for 4.5 billion years on a planet, and we've got these structures of governance and structures of castes and classes of people and stuff.
Pyramids that we don't know how they got built. Right.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot on this planet that stuff here too.
Yeah, I love that
sure.
stuff. That's really cool.
So it's just life on planet Earth is extremely unique. I'll tell you. There may be intelligent life out there, but it'll be drastically different in a zillion different ways. This is a planetary thing that. Man, oh man, the
I have
history.
an idea that maybe planet Earth has a bit of everything that's out there in the universe.
Oh, I see. That's your theory, is it?
Maybe. Well, if you think of it as a bug's life, a bug's world looks different to him than it does to us.
That's for
so
sure.
That's his own world, right?
Oh,
so
man.
The ant's world, the spider's world. It's like a whole bunch of different worlds.
Go look out in your
Everybody
backyard.
has their own trip.
Just go look out in your backyard for a moment. Have a look out there and realize that you are looking at millions of other ways to be looking back at you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do it every day, actually.
I think about that
Ever
regularly.
since I've been doing the psychedelics,
Yeah,
man,
the psychedelics will help you do that too. Yeah.
Who's like my every day?
What's that plant doing?
I know, eh? And you realize just about everything's alive. Nothing's actually really there. Everything's mostly empty space
all kinds of
and
shit
energy.
going on.
This is just energy in different frequencies that appears solid in
Yeah,
here.
especially DMT. hunters use THC in the forest before they go hunting because they can, opens up their vision.
Oh man,
shit.
Lots of this stuff are real serious focusing tools.
Yeah.
The energy's there because everything's got an energy. Like you said, that lighter, us, that plant,
Everything's
everything.
just
all made out of
energy vibrating at different frequencies. I mean, we think about electrons going around a nucleus. It's not like that. It's not like that. They take up the space, the shell space around that particular moment in time and space there, but they're all over the place. They're waves and they're particles, and they can't be actually pinpointed.
But they're there.
And yeah.
If everybody would do the toad,
do the toad. And because what you find out at the end of that is that, life is fucking special.
Yes.
That every being is unique. Each one is a 4.5 billion year old life form. You got here and you got here and I got here. And
no, never did any toad. Yeah, I've been afraid of, but then I've been thinking about. I know that there's energy out there. And,
I just celebrated my 1 year of doing it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
Let's have fun.
Yeah.
We'll do it with my God.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he's been doing. He used to do Stonehenge parties.
Oh really?
Back in the
Wow.
70s.
I might be interested in doing that.
Yeah, no, it's very professional.
It'll open up my mind a bit more. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The key is to have fun, right?
Yeah.
The key is to have fun.
Yeah.
Be with people, be in a place, do things where you're having fun. The key is to have as much fun as you can. If it stops being fun, just try to focus it on something fun.
Basically, DMT allows you to see what you
I
can't
deal with
see,
trauma.
right?
All my past trauma.
And you said that they came to do and
Oh,
told you that
so
they loved
good
you
for
and that
that.
you're loved. I
All
remember you
kinds of
saying
different.
that.
Every time it's a new experience, right?
Wow.
Different issue. And
You ever see the
I'm out
same
of the
spirit?
demon stage, thank God.
Yeah.
That was like
Well, maybe
great.
is that
right?
But you got to deal with all that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Is that
dude,
what-
and it's
because of
intense,
guilt?
man, and it's vivid, and it's,
I know.
it's
Is that because of
but
that?
it's so releasing,
Yeah.
so needed.
Well, and it helps you appreciate all kinds of different things. And like I was talking about how we're all unique human beings that have evolved over 4.5 billion years of procreation through all sorts of different forms. So that you're so special, man. You are so fucking special. We're everybody, everything, the ant on the table, we are all so fucking special. It is so special that we can be here to witness it all. We get this shot. It's a very tiny little speck of a shot, but we get a shot. So the overall thing for me is love.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
Love and
That's
compassion.
what the whole thing is.
Our intention every time is
All about love. It's how we all got here. It's the act that creates us. It's when we have these natural instincts and desires because we love things. We love that. We love this. We want that. And we want to be loved too. Love is the overall thing. It's the answer to just about
Wonder
everything.
who invented the word love.
And what does love sound like in other languages? Any idea what love in other languages is?
Well, I think the love's got two concepts. So the one that they market to you, and then
Yes, that's the one that you feel
and then
and see.
So
I didn't love
all
myself
it is
until I
is
saw my daughter love
it's an adrenaline. Some people, they evoke and provoke your adrenaline in a certain way, or different, different endorphins, and so that creates a feeling of love.
Yeah.
But that doesn't last forever.
Well, and love is not a single entity.
They make you feel like that for some time.
The most multiple of entities.
But so that's it. But love's, I mean, to me, love's more than just that connection and that emotion.
Well, like I didn't know.
That's why I'm single. I can't find nobody else the same view.
I had a problem that was loving myself, and then
Yeah, well,
I
that's
love
a big
myself
problem.
and learn to love other people.
Yeah, well,
then
the
one day
THC gives
I
that too.
saw in Isabel's eyes the love that she had for her daddy because he was doing something for her. I just all of a sudden saw it, and it made me so happy.
You are loved.
Yes.
You are loved. You are
This is what they've
lovable.
been talking about all
Exactly.
the time. That look, not the words, not the action, just the look inside her eyes, right? And that taught me how to love myself.
We are all lovable.
Yeah.
We all deserve to be loved. None of us picked most of what we are, right? We're just plopped out. Here we are. There you are. That's you. Now you got to spend your life trying to figure out who the hell you are that got popped out of there
And
like
maybe our
that.
souls have those 4 million years of memories.
Billion.
locked up.
Oh, they do,
Billion,
man. They've got
absolutely.
all that.
And not just your soul to all of those that were you before you, but every other thing that is here. We are all it. It is all
Here's
us.
the question then. So you know how you can be hypnotized and sometimes you can regress to your past life. What happens to transgender people, or maybe have a chemical imbalance that allows them to see their past life but without being hypnotized, and that's why they identify as a different sex.
Have you read
Maybe, right?
LSD,
Yeah.
LSD Mind in the Universe?
Yeah.
He got stuck in being a woman for several trips. He went through all these woman's experiences at different times of slavery and yeah, dude, he had a real hard time with that.
Wow.
He was at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference last year, so it's trippy. Personally, I was like, why do you keep doing this shit?
Yeah,
These guys had some. Well, it's not just that. This guy had like bad reactions to LSD. You know, I got a respect for this guy, by the way. But it would make him throw up really bad every trip, and so I don't understand what he kept doing. So, but I guess the learning of it over.
Well, we are unique individual beings, right? Like,
well, you don't understand until you're in the space, right? And you can't go back. You know, it's like with the toad, man. It's every time it's next level.
and as for transgendered or male and female, in my mind, we are all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I've certainly got a feminine side. I've certainly got a masculine side. I got these other sides to me. So. But life is complicated. That's what I mean. Life is so weird here, and we're limited by language. Like, what does love sound like in other languages? Our language limits our ability to perceive and to express so much, and yet it allows us to perceive and express so much, right? So the dichotomies of everything and all of these different things that this is true, but this is also true on the other side. So
I think a lot of churches and a lot of things like that are a big problem with that. We're in society saying we have to be certain ways, right?
I think most of those institutions are built out of
as long as they're not
the desire to control and exploit
people.
They
want to do what
I mean, some guy is insightful. Some guy has the wisdom of the ages. He was born an old soul, and throughout his life, he's just been able to, have all of this amazing understanding of things, and he gets a gathering around him because of that. People like what he has to say, and they follow him. And then somebody says, "I can monetize that," and that's what's been going on forever. So, the original is probably pure and of proper impetus. But along the line comes, well, I guess I can make some money off of that, and there's some stupid people that I can really make some money off of. And why does that happen, right? I have a theory for that too, why that happens. That happens because we are needy.
Yes.
And if we feel like we don't have enough, and we can't get enough, then we're willing to get it in whatever way we can. Too many of us have to go through periods of our existence where we feel helpless, and that's birth.
Yeah.
That's the first few years. Where we're not able to get for ourselves, other people have to get for us, where there's rivalry between siblings or other people in the environment, where even parents pass on their past ingrained way of doing these things and having these different mind games that we all play with each other. And so I think that there's desperate people. I think there's people that don't have sight of the ethics that they would have had they had other experiences. Yeah. And that's just life. That's just life. People are born into whatever they're born into. They have whatever experiences they have, then they are who they are based on that and based on who they started at.
I'm reading The Body Keeps Score as well, which deals a lot with childhood trauma.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to talk about.
So people don't function the same, myself included.
Absolutely. Me too.
There's a specific sequence in how our bodies function and they deal with things between our brain and our body. And when you have one of those things out of alignment, the rest of it just doesn't work. So you'll get angry or you'll get frustrated, and so
you'll make different decisions.
You'll definitely make different decisions.
So your path becomes different.
Yeah, and so it's not technically their fault. They've got to deal with that trauma first before, and even still, Yeah, so that's where,
I give everybody a lot of slack. I don't let everybody hang around me because I'm generous by nature, and some people are taken advantages of by nature, and so we don't, I don't get along very well with them. They get along great with me. But I like genuine people. I like people who actually do things for the right reasons, and I don't hate the people that don't. I understand that. They had a different path. They were put on a different path. Yeah. And so I like to hang around with people that are like-minded and like-hearted, and we're trying to accomplish some things here because the world needs some things accomplished. And those that can't take part because that's not who they are, you know, I love them too. I look at them, I see the child in them, I understand that there's just so much we don't know about everybody.
I feel sad for the people who are angry and that they don't know the happiness that somebody else can have, right? And that somebody's done something to them that's made them so miserable against the world.
And they need to express it.
Yes.
You know, that's the path they're on, and until they get it properly expressed, until they take that psychedelic trip and come to terms with it, or in some way embrace it into their being and recognize it's just something that is part of them, that they just can still be a great person.
Not even necessarily a psychedelic trip, just someone to talk to, someone to go through it, you know, and really understand and accept it is the main thing. You gotta accept it.
Yeah.
You can't accept
and it's
it,
a different path for everybody. And there's so many people that struggle with it. There's so many people that don't get what
I'm about to
they
do
need.
iboga, I think.
Oh, yeah?
I just got my requisition for all my blood work.
Is that legal?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's in the middle. I think iboga.
Why does it matter? Because that's my point.
It doesn't matter.
That's the point that I'm always driving at.
Well, you know, I think iboga is kind of illegal, but ibogaine is not legal. I want you to check this because don't take my word for this, but ibogaine is like, I believe, concentrate.
I should be an expert on it, but I'm not.
I'm not. Well, I'm planning on being one here soon.
We all get to be experts as we go in different things, moment by moment.
But it's a 5-day experience.
I see.
You're high for 5 days?
Yeah, well, I'm going to do hopefully a flood dose. I need the flood dose. But yeah, a lot of people use it for opioids and things like that. I'm not going in there for that. I'm going in because I'm angry.
You don't seem like that, Jerry.
Oh, well, I've gotten a lot better since
you got a lot
psychedelics.
better,
Way better.
You know,
but this is the mother of all, I guess, beyond, you know, for, I don't know. I just, a point of that was since I have an ibogaine therapist out of the UK. He just put out a podcast that everybody should really listen to, you know, and it's on, he's got really different views.
Getting high, psychedelics?
No, just on how, well, yeah, psychedelics for sure, but how you integrate those in your,
so the microdosing.
Well, just on how to better treat yourself. Everybody's got their own journey and their own path. That's right. Nothing against AA or NA or things like that.
Or everybody and his dog that's got an opinion.
But these are shame-based. You have a disease.
Yes.
You don't follow exactly what they do. You're a failure. You got to start over.
Yes.
You're a constant. This is the rest of your life. You're going to be like this.
Yeah, that's no way to do it.
You are never getting.
I went through some of the things.
So you
my
gotta
divorce.
find your own path, whether it's psychedelics or whatever. You gotta find your own fucking path.
I went into
to make it
depression.
work, right?
I went into major depression after my marriage ended. I was married for 17 years. My wife had to leave because of her experiences with sexual abuse that can come back to surface through therapy, and she needed to be on her own, and I respect and understood that. But to end my marriage, to take my kids, was just soul ripping for me, and so I went into depression over that. And I ended up writing a whole bunch of stuff that came from somewhere within my being. Information I must have somehow been, but all about inner child and a whole bunch of stuff that I wrote about. I don't know where it came from, but it came out of me, and that's what I wrote. And in the end, I got the bottom line to it all was forgiveness.
Yeah.
That I was angry. I was fucking mad, boy. I was mad at the people that abused my wife. I was mad at oh my God. I was mad at Clifford Olson. I was mad at my dad. I was mad at a lot of people. And so I had to recognize that every one of those persons, or I came to recognize for myself, that in my opinion, all of those people were doing the best they could with who they were.
Yeah.
That a horrible thing must have happened to them to make them do what they did to me, or to my wife, or to whatever. And so I decided that for me, not for them, but for me, I needed to forgive them. I needed to let it go and understand that they just did what they had to do based on who they were, and they had no choice either.
Some people are just fucking evil, dude.
I understand that. But why are they evil?
I gotta say it, man.
Why are they evil? I say there's some reason why they're evil. Evil was done to them or to them generations ago, for all we know. That it's coming through generations. And there has been evil done to people on this planet. Evil because evil is when your needs supersede another person's needs to the point where you're willing to harm that person in significant, really significant ways. That's evil. You don't do that. If you're suffering, for some reason, and I get desperation. I get it. But what do you do when you're desperate? Some people, they do the right thing and maybe they die because they don't
do what they would have needed to do to survive. We're all survivors.
I kept my soul on the
We
street.
are all
That was hard.
survivors.
For the most part.
You know, your procreation that went on for 4 billion years to get you to here.
Watch the COVID with this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you don't want to get in close quarters and get all animated with people.
Yeah.
But you know, we are, you know, on a line of survivors. We got 3 or 4. We might need the whole thing.
Yeah, that'll be on the bloopers episode
We are all the offspring of people that did what it took to survive.
Exactly.
And that must have meant doing bad shit sometimes. It had to be.
It's a fucking mask, man.
We took them away.
Yeah, we took them away.
All right.
Number 1 marketing tool.
So,
Wear your brand.
I don't know, you know, I don't know if we talked about pot much, but you know, cannabis is the lubrication that keeps all the mechanisms of all these things going. It's the way to, it's a vehicle to get to finding out about the love. It's a vehicle to all these other things, and not just cannabis, but the plants that we're made out of, because we only are here because we eat plants.
Yeah.
You know, that's it, period. So anyway, I love you guys.
Oh, we love you too, you know.
I love all you guys too, even if I haven't met you, you know,
we
many
forgive
cases.
you.
Love is the answer to everything, right?
Oh.
So if you love what we're doing, you can help us by contacting people in influence and tell them that we should be allowed to keep providing the love here from the Healing Wave to provide cannabinoids in ways that really dramatically affect people's lives in positive ways. That's all we want to do. That's all we've been doing for a long time. We don't think the government should be getting in the way of people who are supposed to be in charge of accessing cannabis and helping other people access cannabis. So here at the Healing Wave, that's what we're trying to do. We're still fighting government, and you know, maybe love will win out in the end. Maybe when we get to actually negotiate with a human being at the other end of Health Canada, the Health Minister of Canada, whoever it is that's going to make this decision, that love will win out in the end, and they'll say, all right, we love what you're doing, it is the right thing, and set aside all of that reason for protecting other people's interests that aren't those people that really need it. So that's what we got going on there. There's other pot TV shows that you can watch during the week. We've got the 420 Lifestyle Show with Carly Marley and BC Bud Gal, and they just try to use cannabis to show how people can have a lot of fun and benefit their lives in very happy ways. And they do that every week. I'll be back next Tuesday, hopefully, if all things stay equal, with the THC show, Truth, Hope, and Change. We hope that we found some truths to interest you today. We hope that we gave you some hope that there's a chance that love could still win out in all of our different interactions here, and that there are ways to do that. And so on Wednesday, Greg Williams is the longest running pot TV show, one of the more insightful and inquisitive people that we have looking into the whole issue of prohibition and cannabis, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. from Under the Influence. Thursday, there's Morning Glory with BC Bud Gal whenever she wakes up. You have to just check in and figure that out. She's up to wake and bake. I haven't seen one of her shows yet, I got to do that pretty quick. On Saturday, I guess we got High Noon. Did they have one last Saturday? Are we back? We're back. They're back. High Noon is back, and that's a wonderful thing. So at 12 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, Vancouver time, you can check out. Say what? Ish. It's always ish, right? We're on stoner time. There are important things in the world. Hitting the mark right on time isn't really necessarily always one of them. Sometimes it is. But so yeah, us today too. We were a few minutes late getting started, and we're going to be a few minutes late finishing. But as always, almost 2 solid hours right in a row. And so, yeah, High Noon on Saturday. I forgot How's It Growing with Johnny Budd should be How It's Curing now on Fridays at 4 p.m. You know, we've gone through the grow process, and so How's It Curing with Johnny B. Watch all those episodes if you want to figure out exactly how to grow some really good chronic for yourself and help your little journey to the ball of love at the top of all. And I think that's just about it. And Neil is my producer. A wonderful job of coming here to the store. Did we get any shots of the store today?
Well, you know, we'll do another one.
All right, do a little shot of the store. No, he knows what he's doing.
Any more water?
No, there's more water. You can have mine, but I already drank out of it, and you know I could be Peace. Thanks to Jerry. Thanks to Glenn. Thanks to all the people that helped the show happen and watch at home. I hope that you're all somewhat educated and maybe a little inspired to help out, because we need everybody helping out. We can make the world a better place. It's something that we can do a little bit at a time. One person, one place, one moment, we can make the world a better place. And if we all kept doing that all the time, well, then the whole world would be a better place all the time. It's a lot to ask, but all you can do is your own part and start slow. And so that's that for that. My recommendation as you do that, though, is that you have as much fun as you can. And do that till we see you next week.